Cyber Threat Brief for March 27, 2026. CISA, the Cybersecurity and Infrastructure Security Agency, adds actively exploited Langflow and Trivy vulnerabilities to KEV, Known Exploited Vulnerabilities Catalog with April deadlines. Team PCP Supply Chain Attack compromised all 91 checkmarks GitHub action tags, far wider than initially reported. PTC Windshield deserialization flaw enables remote code execution across critical manufacturing sectors. Here's the full breakdown of today's top security stories. Daily Cyber Threat Brief. Next section, March 27, 2026. Next section, Critical Alerts. Langflow AI Framework actively exploited. CVE 2026-33017. CISA, the Cybersecurity and Infrastructure Security Agency, added CVE 2026-33017 to the KEV, Known Exploited Vulnerabilities Catalog after confirming active exploitation of the Langflow AI workflow framework. The Critical 9. 3 CVSS, the Common Vulnerability Scoring System, code injection flaw allows unauthenticated remote code execution. EPSS, the Exploit Prediction Scoring System, is 0. 61 91st percentile. SysTig observed exploitation beginning 20 hours after the vulnerability advisory went public on March 19, with automated scanning, Python exploit scripts, and credential harvesting. Env-end DB files following within 24 hours. Langflow has 145,000 GitHub stars and widespread adoption across AI development ecosystems. CVE 2025-3248, another critical Langflow flaw with 0. 921 EPSS, 100th percentile, is also on the KEV list with CISA due date May 26, 2025. Action: upgrade to Langflow 1.9.0 or later by April 8, 2026. Do not expose Langflow directly to the internet. Monitor outbound traffic and rotate API, keys, database credentials, and cloud secrets if exploitation is suspected. Federal agencies must remediate by April 8, but private sector should treat this as mandatory given active exploitation. Sources: Bleeping Computer. Trivy Supply Chain Compromise. CVE 2026-33634. CISA added CVE 2026-33634 to the KEV catalog, confirming active exploitation of embedded malicious code in Aqua Security's Trivy vulnerability scanner. This is part of the broader Team PCP supply chain campaign. The vulnerability affects Trivy binary versions below 0.69.2, Trivy action below v0.35, 0, and setup Trivy below v0.2. 6. EPSS is 0. 1 21st percentile. Federal remediation deadline is April 3, 2026. Action: verify all Trivy deployments are running safe versions. Trivy binary greater or equal to v0.69. 2. Trivy action v0.35. 0 or pin to SHA57A97, C7E7821, A5776, SEPC9, BB87, C984 FA69, CBA8F1. Setup Trivy v0.2. 6. Search CI/CD workflow logs for any Trivy executions between February 28 and March 24, 2026, and rotate all secrets accessible to those workflows. Federal agencies must complete by April 3. Sources: CISA. Team PCP Supply Chain Campaign Update. All 91 checkmarks GitHub action tags compromised SANS ISC published primary evidence that the Team PCP supply chain attack compromised all 91 published tags of the checkmarks Ask GitHub action, not just the single v2.3.28 version initially reported. GitHub activity logs show 91 tag deletions during checkmarks' March 23 remediation between 19-9 and 19-16 UTC. Each tag received an individually crafted malicious commit with a backdated timestamp and fake commit message. The credential stealing setup. SH script executed regardless of which tag version was referenced. Organizations that searched CI/CD logs only for v2.3.28 would have missed compromised runs referencing any of the other 90 poison tags. The companion Kix GitHub action received accurate all 35 tags, reporting from the start. Action: search CI/CD workflow logs for any reference to checkmarks/Ask GitHub action that executed between 12-58 and 19-16 UTC on March 23, 2026. Treat all secrets accessible to matching workflows as compromised and rotate immediately. Only v2.3.33 is safe. Sources: SANSISC. Next section, Vulnerability Disclosures. PTC Windshield Critical Remote Code Execution Vulnerability. CVE 2026-4681. CIS published an ICS, Industrial Control Systems, Advisory for CVE 2026-4681. A critical remote code execution vulnerability in PTC Windchill and Flex PLM product lifecycle management software. The flaw is exploitable through deserialization of untrusted data and affects versions spanning 11. 0M030 through 13.1.3.0 for Windchill PDM Link and 11. 0M030 through 13.0.3.0 for Flex PLM. EPSS is 0. 4, 59th percentile. The vulnerability targets critical manufacturing sectors deployed worldwide. PTC is developing a patch and recommends urgent workaround steps via Apache or IIS HTTP server configuration updates. German police physically visited organizations to warn about this vulnerability, indicating credible threat intelligence of imminent exploitation. Action: immediately apply PTC's Apache or IIS HTTP server configuration workarounds documented at prioritize publicly accessible Windchill systems first, but apply to all deployments. Apply same precautions to Flex PLM and file server/replica server configurations. Monitor for patches from PTC. Sources: CIS ICS Security Week. Coruna iOS Exploit Framework linked to Operation Triangulation. Kaspersky identified Coruna, an iOS exploit kit that is an evolution of the framework used in the 2023 Operation Triangulation espionage campaign. Coruna targets Apple A17 and M3 chips and iOS versions up to 17.2. Containing 5 full exploit chains leveraging 23 vulnerabilities including CVE 2023-32434 and CVE 2023-38606, both on CIS-ACAV. The framework has expanded beyond espionage to financially motivated campaigns targeting cryptocurrency via fake exchange websites. The attack begins in Safari with device fingerprinting, RCE and PSC exploit selection, encrypted payload downloads, CHA-20 decryption, LZMA decompression, and kernel exploit deployment. Another publicly available iOS exploit kit, Darksword, was disclosed earlier this month. Action: update all iOS devices to the latest version. Apple has published fixes for all flaws via security updates for current and earlier iOS versions. Block access to suspected fake cryptocurrency exchange sites. Monitor for suspicious Safari behavior and unexpected profile installations. Sources: Bleeping Computer. Wago Industrial Switches, CLI Escape Vulnerability. CVE 2026-3587. CIS published an ICS advisory for CVE 2026-3587, a vulnerability allowing unauthenticated remote attackers to exploit a hidden CLI function and escape the restricted interface on Wago Industrial Managed Switches, leading to full device compromise. EPSS is 0. 1, 26th percentile. The vulnerability affects dozens of hardware models across commercial facilities, critical manufacturing, energy, and transportation sectors deployed worldwide. Patches are available for affected firmware versions. Action: update Wago Industrial Switches to patched firmware versions, varies by hardware model, CCIS advisory for specific version requirements. Isolate switches from internet access and segment behind firewalls. Monitor CLI access logs for anomalous commands. Sources: CIS AIX. Open Code Systems, SMS Gateway Access Control Flaw. CVE 2025-70614. CIS published an ICS advisory for CVE 2025-70614. Web access vulnerability in Open Code Systems OC messaging and UST Gateway 6.32.2 that allows authenticated low-privileged users to access SMS messages outside their authorized tenant scope via crafted company or tenant identifier parameters. EPSS is 0. 9th percentile. The vulnerability affects communications sector infrastructure deployed worldwide. Open Code identified and remediate the issue on January 6, 2026, with release of version 6.33.11. Action: upgrade OC messaging and UST gateway to version 6.33.11. Review multi-tenant access logs for unauthorized cross-tenant access attempts between deployment and patching dates. Sources: CIS AIX. Cisco iOS software, multiple vulnerabilities. Cisco published patches for multiple high and medium severity vulnerabilities in iOS software that could lead to denial of service, secure boot bypass, information disclosure, and privilege escalation. Specific CVE or common vulnerabilities and exposures, details and affected versions were not disclosed in the article summary. Action: Review Cisco security advisories for iOS software updates applicable to your network devices. Schedule patching during maintenance windows with appropriate testing and rollback plans. Sources: Security Week. Next section, Windows/Active Directory Security. Windows 11 kilobytes 5,079,391 Smart App Control Improvements. Microsoft released KB 5,079,391 Preview Cumulative Update for Windows 11 24H2 and 25H2 with 29 changes including Smart App Control toggle without reinstallation. Users can now enable or disable Smart App Control via Settings Windows Security App and Browser Control Smart App Control settings. The update includes display reliability improvements, support for monitors above 1000 Hz refresh rates, native USB 4 monitor connections, improved HDR, Windows Recovery Environment Stability for x64 apps on ARM64 devices, and Windows Hello fingerprint reliability improvements. This is an optional non-security preview update that does not include security fixes. No known issues are reported. Action: Evaluate optional update KB 5,079,391 for Windows 11 environments if Smart App Control toggle functionality or display improvements are required. Because this is a non-security preview, defer installation if not needed. Sources: Bleeping Computer. Next section, Business and Infrastructure Threats. TikTok for Business Phishing Campaign Push Security identified a phishing campaign targeting TikTok for business accounts using Cloudflare Turnstile to block bot analysis and reverse proxy pages to capture credentials and session cookies. The campaign uses domains registered March 24 via NICE NIC and hosted on Google storage buckets with names like Welcome, CareerScrews.com, and Welcome, CareerStuffGrid.com. Phishing pages impersonate TikTok for Business and Google Careers, schedule a call forms. The reverse proxy design bypasses two-factor authentication by acting as an intermediary between the user and legitimate service. Business account holders using Google SSO to log into TikTok accounts face compromise of both services. Push Security links this campaign to activity documented last year targeting Google Ad Manager accounts. Action: Block domains listed in the article, CareerScrews.com, and 9 additional domains. See show notes for the full list. Sources: Bleeping Computer. Dutch National Police phishing attack. The Dutch National Police disclosed a security breach from a phishing attack with limited impact. The Security Operations Center detected and blocked attacker access quickly. No citizens' data or investigative information was exposed. Criminal investigation is underway. The agency has not disclosed affected systems or accounts, breach detection date, or whether employee data was stolen. This follows a September 2024 data breach linked to a state actor that stole work-related contact information for multiple officers. Action: Review phishing training for law enforcement and government employees. Implement mandatory 2FA for sensitive systems, continuous monitoring for suspicious activity, and phishing simulation exercises. Sources: Bleeping Computer. Ajax Football Club system. Breach. Dutch professional football club Ajax Amsterdam disclosed that a hacker exploited vulnerabilities in its IT systems and accessed data for a few hundred people, including email addresses and personal information for fewer than 20 individuals with stadium bans. RTL journalists independently verified the vulnerabilities and demonstrated the ability to transfer 42,000 season tickets, manipulate 538 supporter stadium bans, and view details on over 300,000 accounts via API flaws and shared keys. Ajax patched all identified vulnerabilities and engaged external experts for forensic analysis. The Dutch Data Protection Authority and police were notified. Action: Organizations managing ticketing systems and customer accounts should audit API authentication mechanisms, review multi-tenant authorization controls, rotate shared API keys, and implement rate limiting on sensitive endpoints. Fans should remain vigilant for phishing attempts impersonating Ajax. Sources: Bleeping Computer. Next section, Ransomware and Extortion. UK sanctions Zinbai Marketplace and Scam Centres. The UK Foreign, Commonwealth and Development Office sanctioned Zinbai, a Chinese-language Telegram-based marketplace selling stolen data and satellite internet equipment to Southeast Asian scam networks. Zinbai processed over $19.9 billion between 2021 and 2025, facilitating OTC crypto trades, money laundering, and sale of stolen personal databases. Zinbai is believed to have helped North Korean threat actors launder cryptocurrency. The UK also sanctioned Hash8 Park, Cambodia's largest scam compound linked to the Prince Group crime ring, capacity for 20,000 trafficked workers, and Legend Innovation Co., operator of Hash8 Park. Sanctions aim to isolate Xinbai from legitimate crypto ecosystems by blocking cryptocurrency payments. Scam centers across Myanmar, Cambodia, and Laos coerce people into pig butchering and romance baiting schemes. Action: financial institutions and cryptocurrency exchanges should screen transactions for Xinbai-linked addresses. Organizations should train employees on pig butchering and romance baiting tactics. This action follows October 2025 sanctions and seizures targeting the Prince Group crime ring and its leader Chen Zhai. Sources: Bleeping Computer. Russia arrests suspected leak-base forum owner. Russian police arrested a Taganrog resident believed to be the owner and administrator of Leakbase, a cybercrime forum seized by the FBI in March 2026 during Operation Leak. The forum had over 142,000 members and was used to sell stolen databases, data leaks, exploits, and other cybercrime services. The FBI-led international operation involved law enforcement in 14 countries and included around 100 enforcement actions worldwide, arrests, house searches, and knock-and-talk interventions against 37 of the most active users. The forum's database, private messages, and IP logs are being used as evidence in ongoing investigations. Leakbase surfaced in 2021 and grew after breach forums shut down in March 2023. Action: organizations whose data appeared on Leakbase should review the breach for exposed credentials, PI, or intellectual property. Monitor for phishing and credential stuffing campaigns leveraging stolen data. This follows takedowns of raid forums 2022 and breach forums 2023. Sources: Bleeping Computer. Redline Infostealer admin extradited to U.S. Armenian National Hambardzim Minasian was extradited to the U.S. to face charges for allegedly managing Redline Infostealer infrastructure. He is accused of registering VPS servers, web domains, and cryptocurrency accounts used in Redline operations, creating file-sharing repositories for malware distribution, and providing support to affiliates. Minasian appeared in federal court in Austin on March 25, 2026. He faces access device fraud, CFA violations, and money laundering conspiracy charges with a maximum 30 years in prison if convicted. Dutch National Police seized Redline infrastructure in October 2024 during Operation Magnus. The U.S. also charged Russian national Maxim Rudomtov as the suspected developer and administrator. The U.S. Department of State offers up to $10 million for information leading to arrests of Redline-linked government-sponsored hackers. Action: organizations should deploy Infostealer detection on endpoints and monitor for credential abuse. Users should change passwords for accounts accessed on potentially compromised systems. Redline remains one of the most prolific Infostealer families. Sources: Bleeping Computer. Next section: General Security News. Linux kernel AI bug reports shift from junk to legitimate overnight. Linux kernel maintainer Greg Krohartman reported that AI-generated security reports and bug findings transitioned from low-quality AI slop to legitimate, actionable reports about a month ago. The inflection point is unexplained, but all major open-source security teams are experiencing the same shift. Krohartman's experiments with AI-generated patches found that 2/3 were correct, though requiring human cleanup for change logs and integration, while 1/3 were wrong but still pointed to real problems. Developers are starting to acknowledge AI contributions using co-develop tags. AI is being used more for code review than full authorship. Smaller open-source projects have far less capacity to absorb the flood of AI-generated reports compared to the Linux kernel's distributed team structure. Action: open-source maintainers should prepare for increased volume of AI-generated bug reports and security findings. Establish triage processes and review workflows to validate AI-identified issues efficiently. Consider implementing AI-assisted review for error condition detection. Sources: The Register. Unit 42 uncovers converging China-aligned espionage campaigns. Unit 42 uncovered 3 distinct cyber-espionage campaigns targeting a government organization in Southeast Asia, all linked to China-aligned threat actors. The campaigns involve stately Taurus, USB-propagated USB-FEC/HEUPEN malware deploying Public Backdoor, CL-STA 1048, Espionage Toolkit with Extreme Fuel Backdoor, Masal RAT, Gorum RAT with keylogging, and Trackback Stealer, and CL-STA 1049, Hypnosis Loader deploying Fluffy GH0st RAT. The convergence of 3 distinct clusters against a single high-value government target illustrates a complex and well-resourced operation. CLSTA 1048 overlaps with Earth Estries and Crimson Palace campaign actors. CLSTA 1049 overlaps with Unfading Sea Haze. Action: government organizations and high-value targets in Southeast Asia should implement USB device controls, deploy behavioral detection for RAT activity, and monitor for lateral movement via removable media. Review network logs for indicators of compromise associated with Pubload, Masal RAT, Gorham RAT, and Fluffy GH0st RAT. Sources: Unit 42. Next section, Patch Priority. Langflow AI Framework. Upgrade to v1.9. 0 by April 8 to fix CVE 2026-33017 critical RCE with active exploitation and 0. 61 EPSS. Privy Vulnerability Scanner. Update to safe versions, binary greater or equal to 0.69.2, Trivy Action v0.35. 0. Setup Trivy v0.2. 6. By April 3 to address CVE 2026-33634 supply chain compromise, etc Windchill/Flex PLM. Apply HTTP server configuration workarounds immediately for CVE 2026-4681, critical RCE targeting critical manufacturing. Wago Industrial Switches. Patch firmware to address CVE 2026-3587, CLI, escape vulnerability enabling full device compromise. iOS devices. Update to latest iOS version to fix 23 vulnerabilities exploited by Corona Framework, including CVE 2023-32434 and CVE 2023-38606. Next section, Trends and Context. Today's brief highlights the maturation of supply chain attacks, with the Team PCP campaign revealing that initial scope assessments can significantly underestimate compromise extent. The convergence of multiple China-aligned threat groups on a single Southeast Asian government target demonstrates coordinated espionage operations at scale. A sudden shift in AI-generated security reports from junk to legitimate findings signals a new phase in automated vulnerability discovery that will pressure maintainers across the open-source ecosystem. CISA's addition of actively exploited AI framework and supply chain vulnerabilities to the KEV catalog underscores the expanding attack surface created by rapid AI tooling adoption. That concludes today's cyber threat brief. From Carolina Clear Tech. Stay patched, stay vigilant.